Live music on BBC Radio 1.
Okay, the time is here to talk Tame Impala and most importantly to listen to Tame Impala. Delighted to welcome our special guest to the show this evening, Kevin Parker. Hello.
Hey, hello, how's it going?
It's going great. I went and gave blood this morning, Kevin Parker, and as I was sitting there with donating the blood, I was listening to your album, The Slow Rush, and the start of it.
Wow.
The start of it.
The blood slowly rushed out of you.
Literally, yeah.
Sorry. That's terrible.
Literally, yeah. But it did feel very, I don't know, it all felt quite poignant because when I listened to the opening track of your album, which I'm going to remind people what the words are now. Do you remember we were standing here a year ago? Our minds were racing and time went slow. If there was trouble in the world, we didn't know. If we ever cared, we didn't show. I mean, what a new resonance those words have taken up in 2020 when everything has been turned upside down and twisted round and reality has just been totally compromised our normal lives. It feels like nostalgic in a whole new way, the opening of that album. I wanted to start by asking how time has passed for you this year. Has it felt slow? Has it felt fast? How has it felt?
If anything, it's passed really fast for me. I guess because like the usual things aren't happening. So it's kind of like, oh, are we at November already? You know, in the way that you sort of like measure time by like the amount of things that happen in that time, you know, I don't know, it kind of feels like, I mean, obviously everyone.
And also in your line of work, like time is measured and punctuated like mine with festivals. So like, you know that it's April because it's Coachella, and you know that it's June because it's Glastonbury. And when you don't have all of those things and they're gone, then it's like weird. So how did you spend it? Where did you spend the majority of this year?
I mean, it just feels crazy that we're even talking about like how did you spend your year?
I know.
You know?
It's November.
In fact, that proves that time has gone really fast because it feels like yesterday coronavirus was starting, you know, and we were like ending our tours. I've been in Perth for most of the time. I've been in Western Australia, but yeah, I mean, like, on the music side, like I've never been busier.
Really?
Because there's been so many kind of opportunities to do different things. Like that's like a filmed thing, like with this. Mm-hmm. It's taken up a lot of time, and I've kind of been really getting into just the whole production of it. You know, like filming it and editing it and making it look beautiful. You know, like rather than just sort of go like, oh, you're going to film something. You know. Yeah. So I've kind of been getting into that.
Okay, so right time for us to approach you to ask you to film a gig for the show. So I'm glad that we did this now. Great.
100%. We're a well-oiled machine at this point.
So you have recorded 3 tracks for us from your studio in Perth. And we're going to start with the track, Is It True? So just tell us, for the people who are listening on the radio, what the setup was, please, and kind of what you wanted the setup to be for this production.
Well, it's kind of what I've come to call Tame Impala sound system. Okay. So it's basically it's just three of us. It's the three of us that live in Western Australia currently, and it's kind of just we've kind of set it all up so that we're just this kind of like boombox of music, and it's all sort of like sequences and synthesizers and samples and stuff running, so that we can sort of like turn them up and down and turn them off and on to make a song out of, basically. Just this like loop that goes around, but we're turning stuff up and down. And that's basically it. And I sing along to it, which is like insanely fun to do. Yeah. It's like insanely fun, you know. Obviously, like if we had Julian and Cam, we'd be doing it 5-piece band. But, you know, I kind of like that it's a bit of a challenge, that it's something, like we have different set of parameters. Like we can't have those two, you know? Yeah. So that's what it is. It's like if Tame Impala was a boombox, I guess. Yeah.
And is it true lyrically a declaration of love?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one with that. I kind of like, it's one of those songs that I kind of wrote from a persona. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the songs from this album I wrote from a persona. And this one is sort of like from the perspective of someone that's afraid of the future, is the way I put it. You know, like afraid to say that something is true love. Yeah.
So they say it and then they doubt it, and then they say it and then they doubt it. It's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I guess it's like sometimes I write songs from the perspective of people that I know you know, or people that I'm close to. And sometimes I feel that in people. So it's funny because you could look at it as like a song from the perspective of someone that's a bit flaky. You know?
Okay, let's do it. This is Tame Impala, recorded especially for BBC Radio 1 from Perth. This is It True?
Live music on BBC Radio 1.
Okay, so that was Is It True from the album The Slow Rush. We have Kevin Parker here from Tame Impala. Kevin, this album that you recorded, which came out in February, Valentine's Day, wasn't it, of this year? Mm-hmm. Which feels like a decade ago, can I say?
You're telling me.
Jeez. Yeah. And it's interesting because that, you know, again, that was just at the time when COVID-19 was becoming more than a rumour. It was becoming like a real thing where lockdowns were being spoken of and people were starting to realise that their lives were going to be compromised. What will be your resounding memories of this year when you look back at 2020 in like 10 years? What will you remember most about this year, do you think?
That's a good question. And weirdly, I haven't thought about it yet. I still like to think that I'll remember it as the year that I released this album. You know, and like, I feel really grateful that I got to release the album, let's say like a month before the whole world went crazy and shut down and everything. Like, I feel very privileged that I had 4 weeks where it was kind of just like, it's an album, you know, and it's in the world and people listening to it and they're not thinking, like, I feel like everything else that has happened since coronavirus is like thought about and digested and consumed with coronavirus in mind, you know, like I have so much admiration for artists that have put out albums this year, you know, and I think like one of the silver linings of this whole thing is that it's kind of added this like no rules thing to creativity and art and stuff. It's kind of like you can kind of try anything, you know, and because it's like a different environment and a different set of expectations and everything. Everything's kind of just a bit more like, hey, give it a go, you know? Like even me, like getting my friends to film a concert or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's something I would never do and never think about, and I would always think that I'm going to get judged, you know, or whatever, stuff like that. But this year it's kind of like, hey, give it a go, you know? That's kind of how I think about it. But yeah, no, I've been writing a lot of music actually.
And has it felt different? Have you written music that you've never thought you'd written before? Like, has this year affected what the music is?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things I'm grateful for is that I am someone that can kind of like operate on my own. Even if there was like a full shutdown and stuff, like I've got my studio here, you know, I can kind of like just exist in these walls as though nothing would change. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably being stupid. Like it's probably like everything about my like approach and like you know has been changed by what's going on. But I like to think that it's not. You know, I like to think I'm in this little bubble where I'm like, you know, I'm not affected.
Yeah. Let's get another song then. So the next one we're going to hear is Breathe Deeper, right?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's do it. So again, very special, recorded especially for you by Kevin Parker, filmed by his friends. Am I right? Your friends? Love that.
Totally, 100%.
In the studio in Perth. This is Breathe Deeper.
Radio 1.
We have live music from Tame Impala tonight, and that was Breathe Deeper. Such a treat to be getting these live recordings. Kevin Parker, thank you so much. Again, I don't know how many times I've thanked you, but I can't thank you enough, clearly. So, now that we're at the scary point of the year where it's actually November and we had to be retrospective about it, have you had a chance to kind of look forwards? And have you thought about 2021 and what you might want to do in that time?
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, you know, like everyone, having any kind of thought about the future is kind of like, that's all it is, a thought. Right. Because who knows, you know? But then there are some of us, I guess, that kind of like relish in the fact that no one knows what's going to happen and it's impossible to plan. Because I feel like some people are like planners, you know, and some people aren't. Some people are like, oh, I don't know, you know? And all the people that are like, I don't know, are kind of like relishing this moment.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's in the same boat. Everyone, like, no one knows what's going to happen. And I like that. I mean, yeah, you know, like we have to talk about playing shows next year because we might be able to. Like, we can't, like, when I say we, like me and the manager and like us, the promoters in UK and stuff like that, playing shows, we have to plan to be able to play shows next year. Like, will we be able to? I don't know, but we don't want to be like caught out where like, hey, shows are back on and we haven't booked any, you know. So it's like we have to do that. We have to do everything we can to book shows, and book them, and even down to like planning and spending money to you know, book hotels and stuff. We have to do that because we might get caught out where it's going to happen. So yeah, but we don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah. So you've done us a cover version, Kevin, and I'm so excited about this because this is one of my favourite songs that I just
awesome.
Timbaland production, Nelly Furtado, her best work in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in why this song. I mean, when I listen to it, I can totally hear why, but I want you to tell me what is it that made you want to have a go on it? It's
a song I've always loved. It's one of those songs where, like, even though it's like a pop smash, anytime, like, I sort of DJ this song sometimes, and like anytime someone puts the song on, it's kind of one of those songs where you're just like, oh man, this is such a great song. Furthermore, I listened to this song with my wife in the car the other day, and she was like, when are you going to cover this? I was like, when are you going to cover it? She's like, I'm hanging out, I'm waiting for you to cover it. And so obviously I just jumped as soon as you guys got in touch and asked for a cover. It was like, oh, it's got to be Say It Right. But Data was kind of like, it was a given, you know, it was the shortest amount of time thinking about it.
Well, I've got to thank your wife for that.
Yeah, okay. I'll pass it along.
Yes, please do. Right, so we're going to finish this then. We're going to hear this Nelly Furtado cover from Tame Impala, Say It Right. Kevin, what a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Annie.
And I hope that I see you at a festival next year.
I'm waiting. I'm ready to go whenever it's back on.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right, let's hear it then. Say It Right by Nelly Furtado, as you've never heard it before. There you go. That is Tame Impala, Kevin Parker going for that falsetto and smashing it, covering Nelly Furtado's Say It Right.
Radio 1's Future Sounds.